Fox Carolina sports anchor Aaron Cheslock went one-on-one in an exclusive interview with Crosby. He's live in the studio with this incredible story. And Aaron, a lot of people have been looking forward to this one.
Well, it's good that it's appropriate rather, that we're talking about Roscoe Crosby 2 days before National Signing Day. His was one of the most anticipated in South Carolina history. He chose Clemson. Now, 14 long years later, Crosby's journey leads him back to a familiar place, but as a completely different person.
This is my story. This is how I see it through my eyes. Nobody else got to see it that way.
The year 2000. The pride of Union County High, Roscoe Crosby, stands at the top of a mountain.
Roscoe Crosby.
The Yellow Jackets wide receiver just won back-to-back state championships. Crosby's also the star center fielder of the baseball team, a stellar hitter, speed demon, and sure-handed fielder. A true five-tool talent.
If I'm really locked in, it would look like a basketball. Man, I can't miss it.
Right out of high school, Kansas City took him in the second round of the MLB draft, despite an elbow injury. Also a coveted football recruit, one of the top players in the country. The two-sport star signed a two-sport deal with the Royals, a 5-year contract, a $1.75 million signing bonus. Plus, the Royals paid for Crosby's tuition. Crosby says all he had to do was get the elbow fixed within 5 years. The upstate team would strap it up in Death Valley, barely an adult, on top of the world.
I'm 18 years old. It's new to me, it's new for my family, it's new to people that's around me, because I grew up in we never had money and stuff like that.
Crosby's parents weren't around. His grandmother raised him, his rock, long before ever touching Howard's on the Hill. After graduation, Crosby hit 2 weeks of instructional league drills in Florida. Then it was off to Clemson for training camp, with plenty of hype.
All eyes were on Roscoe Crosby this morning. Freshman Roscoe Crosby. On Roscoe Crosby.
Crosby blew Tiger Town crowds away from the first game.
Before we was coming down the hill, I'm trying to enjoy the fans and everybody too, but I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, man, I'm actually finna get this football first.
By the end of the season, overcoming inexperience and an injury, Crosby thrived and broke Clemson records. No offseason after football. It's off to Orlando for the minors. It seemed nothing could stop Crosby's rise. Then, a car crash in Georgia. 5 friends who drove one of Crosby's cars to see him play never made it.
3 of them died and 2 of them actually survived.
Then, Crosby's elbow gave. Despite joint reconstruction, he missed both football and baseball seasons in 2002.
The biggest thing for me was I had no outlet. My outlet became, cars and going out to clubs and just a lot of foolish stuff. That was my outlet to try to make me feel better.
Then,
another tragedy comes in Roscoe Crosby's life.
In 2004, his 15-year-old brother Nathaniel Hill drowned at a lake in Anderson.
And when I got the news, man, my granddad was on the telephone, and I always knew that phone call, I done been there before.
Grief-stricken, hampered by rehab and responsibility, Crosby fell flat for the first time. He found trust in his new wide receivers coach, Dabo Sweeney.
This was a 19-year-old young man, and all of a sudden his world, he's got a bunch of money, people have lost their lives, just had a lot of things on him.
Needing money to support his family, Crosby dropped out of Clemson. He decided just to play baseball. Rehabbed and ready to go at Single-A Phoenix the next spring, a surprise. Clemson came calling. Crosby qualified for the school's hardship waiver and says his agent gave the green light to revamp the two-sport dream. But again, another stumble.
I told the Royals, I'm going to continue to play 2 sports. That kind of messed things up with those guys because it was like, well, we thought you was playing straight baseball.
As Crosby was re-enrolling, he got the notice that left him numb for 2.5 years.
I get a letter in the mail saying that I breached my contract and they wasn't paying for, they wasn't gonna pay for my schooling. I wasn't getting the rest of my bonus money, so it kind of spun stuff out of control.
Crosby withdrew from Clemson again and went to arbitration court with the Royals. Just months after peaking, Crosby's falling fast, coming very close to rock bottom.
And it got to a point where I actually even thought about, real bad things about, like not even living. Now I had to go talk to a therapist.
You had thoughts about killing yourself?
It was a lot, man. It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff that went on. And when it got to that point, I had to start thinking about Roscoe, the person.
Fox Carolina's Aaron Cheslock is back to show us now how the Tigers, the former Tigers, can't miss prospect, is now back in Tiger Town after 14 years.
That's right, Aaron. I know we've been teasing the story a lot. A lot of people want to know, what has Crosby been up to?
All right, it's been a long 14 years. Crosby sat at his lowest point when we last saw him in the midst of an arbitration hearing with Major League Baseball. Dropping out of Clemson, his football career is on hold until he realized the only way to wake up from this nightmare was to give up his dream.
The saddest thing for me was when he left, and I knew he wasn't going to come back. Because I didn't know what was going to happen to him, and my heart broke for him.
2 years after getting drafted by Kansas City in baseball's pro draft, Roscoe Crosby's fighting for his major league life. In an arbitration court battle, Crosby says his lawyers told him not to talk to the media, but his silence left questions and sprouted rumors.
People didn't know the story. So everybody's looking at it like I just quit baseball and I quit football. I heard all kind of stuff. Drugs, you know what I'm saying? He just can't get over the accident. He done lost his mind.
Back at his grandmother's, waiting, facing judges. More than 2 years later, the court finally ruled, siding with the Royals. His contract, college tuition, gone.
It was tough. Me and my family, me and some of my family didn't speak for maybe a year, 2 years, because we had a real bad falling out. Really, it was financial issues.
In 2005, he started working out again, and just 6 months later, Crosby caught on with the Indianapolis Colts practice squad. On this upward climb, another falter, cut by the Colts. Crosby was done.
I had learned the hard side of business. The game wasn't the same for me no more. Like, I didn't love it.
Crosby says he was lumped into a group of great athletes from the upstate who simply couldn't cut it at the next level, widely viewed as a failure.
I go through stuff just like other people. I feel stuff just like other people. But, being a small town and, here in South Carolina, people looking at it like, it's football, baseball, or nothing for him. His life is over with.
A young man who overcame so much. Crosby's new mission off the field, proving his critics wrong. 2 years after he left the Colts, and a couple of jobs later, Crosby ends up at AMI Kids, a program partnering with the Department of Juvenile Justice to help teens get back on the right track.
Get to the point where I can help other young men that's going through a lot of stuff that I went through. If it took me to walk away from sports for me to become a better person, then I'm fine. And I know that's what happened.
Fast forward to the end of 2013, a meeting that changed everything. Crosby, a youth mentor, sat down with one of his own advisors to discuss another comeback.
I'm excited about him coming back to Clemson and finishing school, and he's still got a lot more to write in this book.
Back in Clemson classrooms, back at Memorial Stadium, but this time Crosby's on the sidelines, a student coach with the offense. The former can't-miss prospect focuses on molding the newest talented core of Tigers wide receivers.
You don't get trophies, or you win a Heisman for this, but for me, it's that fix for me now. It used to be touchdowns, it used to be hitting home runs, but I done found my fix.
I'm proud of him. I'm proud of where he is now and the type of person that he has really developed into, the man that he is.
Crosby knows many consider him a failure, a waste of talent, but he's not bitter.
He is who he is because he's failed at something. We've all failed at something, but that doesn't mean you're a failure.
I'm at peace as a man. I'm happy, and that's the truth.
Roscoe Crosby tumbled from the top of the mountain, but he stands taller than ever back in Death Valley.
I'm still a competitor. I'm still trying to win, but my game that I play now is, it's the game of life. I want to win in the game of life.
Crosby's a full-time student majoring in management. He says he hasn't gotten recognized on campus as of yet, but interestingly enough, he's living in the very same apartment he lived in as a player. Crosby plans on telling his story to guys like Deshaun Watson, the Tigers' new can't-miss prospect. He'll be on Clemson's sidelines starting this spring. Cody?